This is for you, Dexter, and for everybody else. So just a quick recap of what's going on today. Today is the weekly live stream. We start every Saturday at around 10, sometimes give or take a couple minutes, depending if I need to make a thumbnail or whatnot. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer. Today I got to play with a thumbnail that I've been wanting, or a picture of a thumbnail that I've been wanting to use for a while. But today we're going to go over, like normal, towards the end of the live stream, we're going to do a deep dive today on a different company. Today we are doing Intel. And the reason why we're doing Intel is because out of all the stocks, it's actually one of the most fairly valued companies, and we'll get more into that. But I want to dig deeper because it's dropped significantly in price because of some factors outside of Intel's control, and I want to see if it's worth buying. Now, we're not just going to do the traditional valuation. What we're going to do is we're actually going to do a deep dive. I'm going to show you guys how to actually research a company. Okay, and so we're going to do our normal valuation, but then we're going to dig a little bit deeper and see if we can find more information about the company itself and whether it's going to buy it. And I'm doing this personally because I want to buy it. I'm already invested. I already have, I think, around maybe 80 to 100 shares, and I've been slowly buying into them more and more. But we'll see. Today, I haven't practiced this. I haven't looked into it, so today will be the first day of doing a much deeper dive since the last one that we did several months ago. I think it was back in May or June when we did our last analysis of Intel. But really today what we're going to go over is I'm going all in on unique dwellings, like different types of homes, weird properties, weird pieces of land. I'm going to give you more specifically why I'm doing that. As many of you guys know, is I am in the process of getting up off the ground another shipping container project, actually right on the other side of the property, on the other side of this wall right here. We're getting started. And then we are going to be talking about Disney Plus, because I know a lot of us have been out there looking at investing in Disney, and during this pandemic, a lot of companies got hit really hard. Disney is one of them. They had to shut down their cruise lines. They shut down their parks, which is a significant amount of the revenue. And they launched Disney Plus. Mandalorian just released yesterday. We saw the first episode. It's so good. I do not know why. I was never a huge Star Wars fan. I have no idea why they don't get Jon Favreau to do all of them. Like, I have no idea why they created like the last 4 or 5 Star Wars movies without that guy. That guy, he's this generation's Steven Spielberg. He's so good. Everything he touches is so good. Anyways, I'm gonna give you some like in-depth, kind of like behind the curtains, insider baseball, on what I noticed with their actions with their streaming service, because I don't think it's as good as most people think, and it's definitely not a Netflix killer. I'm not getting rid of my Netflix anytime soon. I'm not even sure why I hold on to Disney Plus other than for The Mandalorian, but we'll get into that. And then last and not least, no, actually, I'm going to do this before the analyzing Intel, is we hit 15,000 subscribers, you guys. Dude, I can't even express how fortunate and how impressed I am by you guys and the support and the love that I get from everybody. Honestly, a lot of people say, you know, social media and YouTube and such, just don't read the comments, it's horrible, people are mean. Telling you guys the truth, I've gotten so much more support on building this YouTube channel and then generally trying to help you all, and then you guys all trying to support me. It's been overwhelmingly positive. I really don't. When people say they complain about the comment section, it's like, I don't get it. Everybody that I interact with are super awesome. Every once in a while, maybe 1 out of 1,000 comments is something racist, something mean, something negative. But I mean, like, that's way less than if I were to walk outside and randomly bump into people. I don't know. It's just been super positive for me. So I want to thank you guys all. And so I'm going to show you guys, because I think the last time I updated you on how much I made off YouTube, it was probably a year ago. It was a while ago. So I want to show you guys that. And it's actually really cool because I want to share with you exactly how much I'm making and also what I'm doing with that money, and how, because this has been a journey for us all, on how it started with this big fat zero to a point now where it's actually making some decent money. So we'll get into that. Let's see, everybody here, it looks like there's 5 of you so far. If you guys could help me get to 5 likes, I think I'm one of them, so the other 4. Can you guys hit the like button for me? Thanks. As always, if you guys are interested in what we're doing, is we're shifting this channel. We're not really shifting it. We're always going to talk about money, how to make more of it, analyzing stocks. But I'm going to be gearing more into the rental and real estate investing, but more on the unique side, not the traditional buy and hold an apartment or a multifamily or single family home. I'm going to be more on the side of how do you build sweat equity, and then how do you find the good deals. And like, I'll talk more about that because that sounds like it's a played out term, finding a good deal. But I'll share with you guys here in a second what I mean. All right. Thanks for the likes, you all. All right. So audio's good. Excellent. Okay. Close this out right here. So just like in the thumbnail, I am going all in on unique dwellings. And what I mean by that is that I am going to be focusing on more of a glamping style. And I'll get to that in a second. But as you guys know, I'm more of a traditional, or I have been more of a traditional real estate investor. You know, you buy properties like a townhome, condo, house, single family house, duplex maybe. And what you do is then you either remodel it, you fix it up, and then you rent it out and you hold on to it. Just like normal, you wait for the appreciation and value, and hopefully you can cash flow. So you kind of have two ways of making money on real estate. You have cash flow, which is kind of can be relatively low when you're talking about long term, right? Because you got the mortgage, you got taxes, you got insurance, HOAs, all that stuff, maintenance. And then so a lot of times when you rent out long term, the rent is right around the price that you paid, or your mortgage and your taxes and all the costs. Now, as it goes down the line and you hold on to a piece of property for 10, 20 plus years, obviously rent rates should go up, but your expenses should stay fixed. And that's where you make that margin. But the first 5 to 10 years, it's actually really kind of that margin small. That's why I shifted in short term. Whereas at the beginning, I got into it in 2009, 2010. Short term, I had this base rate, let's call it $2,000 a month, but I can make $5,000 to $7,000 a month renting out short term. So there's a huge margin, like say $3,000 to $5,000 margin in profits versus long term, which I would probably net maybe a few hundred to maybe several hundred renting long term. That's a traditional way. Now, what I've learned is through the short term rental industry is that unique pays off. Being different pays off. And the same thing with YouTube. And something I've always been struggling with my channel is not to be better at doing something, but to be different. And I found that out with this one property here. This one property makes more money, is more profitable than all, 7, 8 other properties that I've had kind of coming in and out of the short-term rental market. It's been more successful than that because it's already paid itself off. All the other properties haven't paid themselves off. This one paid itself off within, I forget the exact number of months, but within 8 months, 9 months. And so after that, that's all income. And the reason behind it is because it's a shipping container style home out in the country overlooking the lake, okay? Now, I've made some friends in the Airbnb short-term rental business, I guess you could say, and they are making far more money than me, investing more into tiny homes, containers, tree houses, and glamping, basically tents. And I couldn't wrap my brain around it, so I'm like, who would want to do that? But they are getting pieces of land that are super unique, super weird, that you can't build a house on it, or it has like weird issues where, like you guys remember this land had land issues and I had to get it all engineered and fixed. It's like they find places like that where you can't build a structure. Maybe it's agriculture, it's for farming use only, or it has weird land issues. But you can put a tent, or you could put a platform, or you could put a gravel bed down and you put in a luxury yurt, or a tiny house, or an Airstream trailer, or even drop off a shipping container. And what ends up happening is, in business and in real estate, or any time that you're looking at making money, you always have to look at how much capital you have to put in first, and then how much, 2 things, cash flow can you make a month, and 2 is how much equity can you build on your investment. And the equity in the investment means just like, if I buy a house for $500,000, I fix it up a little bit, and then it's worth $700,000. That's the equity. That $700,000 versus that $500,000. How much I put in versus how much it's worth. And so I've always played the game where you find a piece of property, fix it up, build a house, costs me $300,000, but it's worth $800,000. Okay, that's the game that I play. It takes a long time, long time, but at the end, I make the money in the back end. What these guys are doing and what they're teaching me and what I'm learning and why I'm interested in it now and why I'm actually going to do it now is because it's flip-flopped. You spend $3,000, $5,000 on a luxury tent or maybe $10,000, $15,000 on a tiny home or something like that. You don't really care about the equity, but you get massive cash flow. So you spend $15,000 and you make $70,000 a year. Okay, so you basically pay for your initial investment within 3 months, and then you make all this money every single month recurring. Okay. Now there's different ways of playing this game, and I'm going to share it with you guys. Let me see. I think there's maybe 3 different ways of doing it. Okay. Obviously, there's always nuances. You guys do different ways, but the first way is you rent land from somebody else. You don't have the money, I get it. We were all there. You have to start off small. You rent land or you find somebody who's willing to give you a small parcel of their land for a relatively cheap price, or you get creative and you share the revenue with them. You obviously be very transparent what you're trying to do, and then you spend the $2,000, $3,000 to start a build tent, or you know, if you don't have building skills, or you can get a tiny home for cheap, you put a tiny home on it, whatever it is, that initial investment. Now the weird thing, or the thing that you want to do, is make sure that the land is actually unique. It has a view, it has a stream, it has like a nice fire pit and a hot, something like that can attract people to it. And this is not a trivial amount of money, because I'm watching my colleagues or my friends or these acquaintances making $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month off all of their tents. It's called glamping, if you guys don't know. Anyways, my specialty is more in building shipping container type homes, small homes, that type of thing. So I'm going to be gearing towards that, but I'm not shying away from this glamping thing. So that's the first one, is you rent land and you put something on it with a couple $1,000s, and then you can make that money back relatively quick. Now, I personally don't like that method because I don't have a lot of control over the land. If that, for some reason, if I don't strike a good deal or that person changes their mind, I might lose out on it. There's ways around it, contract and all that stuff, but I don't like it. I like a little bit more control. So what the next step is that you can spend a little bit of money and buy some land. And I know that it sounds weird to say a little bit of money. That's not true. You can't buy land. We're talking about land that's a little bit further outside of the city. And once you get outside the main cities and you get into the rural areas and you go past that, you start finding land that's actually really, really cheap. In every major city that I'm looking at, whether it's in the state of California, Washington, Oregon, Texas, Nevada, even looking in Wyoming, I'm not joking. I can find pieces of land for, the really nice pieces I'm looking at are $100,000 to $300,000. I've seen pieces for between $50,000 to $100,000. And so if you can get into a smaller piece of land, make sure it's zoned correctly, you can then do whatever you want to do on it, assuming that it can fall into the zoning requirements. And that's the second option. Again, very cheap. If you think about it, let's say that I can go buy a piece of land right now for $100,000. I put maybe $50,000 into it. That's $50,000 in permits, maybe getting water and power to the site. And then another, let's just call it a cool, another $20,000 to put up like maybe 2 nice tents and a bathroom or something like that. So I'm in it all in at $170,000. Based on the numbers that I've seen so far, again, always do your research, is that you could then get close to $3,000 to $5,000 per tent per month, gross, okay? So you're looking at, let's say that you average $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month can easily pay your debt service, or servicing your debt on $170,000, okay? A lot of wheels, a lot of numbers going on here. So remember, this is how it goes when you're looking at getting into real estate. Now, the other reason why I am getting into this is the last reason, okay? And this is where I get a balance of my skills and making the most, or the biggest bang for the buck for me, is I'm looking for a big chunk of land where it could be almost like a forever type of piece of land for myself and my future family. And so I'm looking at like big, like 20, 30, 40 acre pieces of land that has beautiful views and has the zoning type of recreation on parts of the land. Okay, no, let me back up a little bit. So there's different types of zoning for land. This is super important. When you buy land, you always have to look at the zoning. And you have to look and see what you can and can't do. Sometimes you can't build a house, you can't even build a barn. You can only use it for camping or hunting, right? And there's some where you can only use it for tree harvesting. And there's some pieces of land that's called recreation, where you can use it for camping, and there's different types of recreation. Usually there's 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4. Those different zones mean different things. 1 is usually like you have picnic tables in a small parking area. 2 is you can have a pop-up tent. 3 means you can have RV, and then 4 usually means like you can bow hunt, you can bring recreational vehicles on there, and you can basically do almost anything other than like a fixed piece of home or property. Now the pieces of property that I'm looking at has all 3, and here's the ringer. Plus you can build a home and you can build a shop with rental units attached to either the main house or the shop. So the reason why I want to do that, and obviously it's more expensive, is that by doing this, I can buy the piece of land, put up a couple of tents, maybe buy an Airstream, build a tree house, whatever that's relatively easy to meet the recreational aspects, cash flow the property, right? And then eventually I can build a nice home with a nice shop with more rentals attached to it. And what that does and what that allows is now you're hitting and you're building wealth on all areas. You've got cash flow, right? You're building equity in the land because now you have like a campground, right? Away from the house. And then eventually when you build the house and you build the shop and you build rentals, you now have built this massive amount of equity and cash flow. And so by the end of it, my goal is to have at least 5 different units or tents or RVs or rental units spread around the property with a main house and a shop, okay? And I know how much I can build a house for. I'm looking at a house. I think that I could build a house and the shop for less than, say, $500,000. And I can buy the piece of property for about, let's say, $400,000. Let's say that all in, I'm at like $1 million. By the time that I'm done, the piece of property will be worth probably closer to 1.7, 1.8 million. And then I'll be cash flowing, this is all on paper and pen, but I should be cash flowing somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 a month. Or, I'm sorry, a year, okay? Not a month, that'd be insane to do it a month. So if I can make 6 figures off a piece of property and its value, I have $500,000 to $700,000 in equity, like you could hold on to that forever basically, right? And especially if you find it and you put in a place like near a national park, you're near a scenic route that is known for the most road trips in America, or you're in areas where there are waterfalls, hiking trails, bike trails, hunting grounds, anything like that, you're protecting yourself. I shouldn't say protecting, but you're giving yourself the best odds of always having customers. Okay, that's the most important thing, is you always think about the customers. You don't just build to build and hope they come. You find a spot to build based on where the customers are, and then you build there. Okay, but at the end of the day, even if it dries up and there's no renters to rent, you've got a ton of equity in the property itself because you have so many structures. You have the permits, you have the electric, you have the power, or you have the water, you have the septic systems all set up, ready to go. And so that's the new plan, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing the container, I'm doing the container as kind of like a practice run to make sure that I can build things the way I want to build them, and then I'm going to take that concept and I'm going to go do that on these other pieces of property. And that's what I mean by going all in. And I think that if anybody's out there who's interested in getting started in real estate, and I think a lot of times we think about real estate being so demanding and difficult to get into because yes, you need good credit score. Yes, you need a job and you need cash to put a down payment. And then you have the risk of having to do the remodel, finding a tenant, all that stuff. And it takes a lot of time and it requires a lot. But there's other methods of being able to start generating cash flow to build up your investment fund. Even if you get a tiny house or a tent or something like that, or you rent a small piece of property from somebody, you don't need this great credit score, a lot of money in the bank, a full-time job. You basically just need to get the wheel moving a little bit to get yourself some cash. And I think this is a great way for anybody out there who's first starting off, all the way to somebody maybe like me, or even more than me, way past me, who can do several dozens of units. I'm thinking about only doing like 4 or 5 units. There's people out there who have dozens, if not hundreds of units. So I think that this is a good way to build into the future of real estate, right? Outside the tradition, and it's the traditional way. And you don't have to worry about freaking home maintenance and all that stuff. It's a freaking tent, and it pays for itself within a few months. Versus a home, it'll take you years if you ever pay that off. So something to think about. All right, let's jump over here. Hello, everybody. Sorry for my rant. All right. So if you guys have questions, just a quick break here before we shift gears and go into the next thing. We've still got the talking about Disney Plus. We're going to talk about 15K subscribers, how much I'm making on YouTube, and then we're going to do a deep dive on Intel. And real quick, because I totally forgot, is that if you guys are ready or you guys want to follow along, please follow along. Watch the as I go through my spreadsheet. If you guys want to support me in the channel, right now it's still 50% off. You guys can buy the exact spreadsheet that I had whipped up. I hired somebody to build it because it's too complicated for me to build. But it has everything that I learned basically in my MBA program and what I used and everything that I did for businesses after my MBA program, condensed it into a simple spreadsheet. I'm going to walk you through it. The link is down in this description. You can buy that spreadsheet. It's $15 right now. If you guys don't like it or you guys can't use it, just message me, DM me. Like I've always said, I'm not going to try to take your $15. I only want to provide you value and hopefully recoup my cost of building that spreadsheet. So if you guys don't like it or you guys can't use it, just tell me. I'll give you back your money. It's not a big deal. But yeah, if you want to support me in the channel, go down, link down below, buy that spreadsheet so you can follow along and see how we value companies. It should pay you back from the first investment, hopefully, right? Okay, so let's shift gears here. So that's where I'm going in for all in on Unity. So I'm looking at glamping options. I'm looking at purchasing land right now. I'll make more videos on what I'm looking for in land, but I've already mentioned a lot of it to you. And you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you guys know. Look for zoning, look for something unique, look at something where it has a view. Those are the 3 big ones for me. Zoning, unique, and view. Okay. Let's talk about Disney. Do you guys any you guys watch The Mandalorian? Did you guys watch The Mandalorian? Did you guys watch Mando last night? Who has Disney Plus? Write in the comment section. Let me know if you guys have Disney Plus. I actually am very curious to see how many people actually pay the extra for Disney Plus. So let's get into the investment side a little bit. So I've always been favorable of Disney, but kind of like most companies in hospitality, entertainment, not so much entertainment, I mean just hospitality and travel. Sorry, not entertainment. They've been hit really, really hard the last, what is it now, 8-9 months. Disney is probably at the forefront because they had to shut down their parks and they had to shut down their cruise lines, which I don't remember the exact numbers, you guys. We did do this analysis back in spring, but I'm going to say it was roughly around 30% of their total revenues, okay? So we're talking about a significant portion of the company basically got shut down and now is limited. I don't think cruises, they're not even opening cruises yet. So their parks are just slowly start opening and they are limited to, I believe it's 25 to 50% capacity. So we're looking at huge hits. And so the other thing that they did is they actually released Disney Plus, their streaming service, last year, exactly a year ago. Actually, I think it's exactly a year ago today that they released it, and that was a huge boom because they got like upwards of over 50 million subscribers pretty quick. Now, with that said, it's been exactly a year from when they released it. And I do not see Disney Plus replacing Netflix. I don't think it's a Netflix killer. Even their bundle package with ESPN, Hulu, I don't see it beating out Netflix. And here's the reason why. Is a lot of times you can see what companies are doing and it reflects what's actually happening behind the scenes. And this is what I mean. So first of all, we have to remember that they first started off far exceeding expectations for subscribers because they had a deal with Verizon where all Verizon customer subscribers, all 90 plus, I think 93 million Verizon customers could, that's mobile and wireless, mobile and internet customers, which I think is around 90 million Verizon customers, had access to get a 12-month free trial for Disney Plus. Clearly, if you can get something free for 12 months, why not try, especially something new like Disney Plus? And so that's where a substantial amount of their subscribers came from. In the first 2 months alone of releasing this, from November through to December, they had over 5.3 million subscribers switching from, or not switching, but going from Verizon, switching on their trial for Disney Plus. Now, they stopped sharing their numbers. They haven't shared their numbers. Neither one has shared their numbers since then. But we can assume that a large number of people continued to sign up for Disney Plus for the 12 months. So what's happening is 12 months are up. Who is going to pay, I think it's $7 a month right now for Disney Plus? How many of those millions, maybe tens of millions of subscribers are going to pay for Disney Plus? And I don't think a lot. And the reason why I think that is, yesterday, my girlfriend Sarah and I, we were super excited to watch Mando. We planned this out to have this binge party. We were excited talking to our friends about it. And then lo and behold, it comes out the day of, and it releases the schedule for The Mandalorian. And I think I vaguely remember they did this in the very beginning, but last year, but I didn't think that they're going to do it this way, where they're releasing videos every week, instead of just putting it all out there like Netflix does. And the name of the game in the streaming business is binging. It's like a drug. It's the same thing as caffeine, as coffee. Binging to streaming online is an addictive thing where people want to do. People want to be able to snuggle up on the couch for an entire weekend and binge through Stranger Things, binge through Community, watch Friends. You don't want to watch one episode at a time, even brand new things. That's why Netflix has been so successful and is killing it in the streaming market. And I think that's where a lot of other companies fail, like Amazon, Prime, Hulu, and they're not failing by any means, but they're just not as big or as dominant as Netflix. And Netflix keeps coming out with these heavy hitters, House of Cards, Vikings, what's the latest one I just watched? Blood of Zeus was actually a really good one. Is they release it all at one time. And by Disney Plus having this huge hitter in The Mandalorian and releasing it every week, what that tells me is that they're trying to hold on to subscribers. The only reason why you do that is you're trying to do like this, not a bait and switch, but you leave it out there, so I have to stay subscribed for another week to watch episode 2, episode 3, so on and so forth. So it takes me all the way into the new year, past January 1st. And what that does is that hopefully it holds on to their customer base who don't want to give it up yet because they want to watch The Mandalorian. Now, here's the problem, though. I love Disney, and my whole family has it. It's actually like a family plan that my dad got, and then I didn't want it. I didn't really need it that bad, but he got it for the family, and then we all share it, basically. And it's not that great, honestly. I think I've watched Moana once. Hands up, leave in the comment section if you guys like Moana. I love Moana. I love the song in it. And that's the only other one that I've seen. I haven't watched anything else besides The Mandalorian in a whole year, besides Moana, and then maybe started a couple of other shows for my nieces and nephews, and then I walked away. That's it. And so Netflix, though, if you look back at I don't watch a ton of videos or movies, but I always go back to Netflix to watch new series. I watched Castlevania. I like to watch anime. I've watched a lot of the side stuff. I watched the World War II stuff. These are all series too, and I binge them. We watched Stranger Things last year, and so I can tell you that Netflix doesn't have a problem of retaining subscribers. I think Disney Plus has a problem of retaining subscribers. Long story short, Disney is showing its hands that Disney Plus may not be doing that great because they wouldn't adopt the model like this unless they are in trouble or they're afraid of losing subscribers, and that's why they're doing this. And it doesn't create fans. Like, I'm definitely not a fan of Disney Plus. It's not I'm not their customer base. I'm not a kid that wants to watch cartoons all day, right? Not anymore, anyways. But at the same time, I'm not gonna. I can't binge stuff, and I think adults now who are paying this, they like to binge stuff, and that's Netflix. So they gave me a glimpse behind that little curtain of theirs that they're having trouble, but we'll see. I'm really excited, and what I want to do is I want to see their financial numbers where they have to release at the end of this year, right? We're in Q4 now. Is that we're gonna have to see how Q4 works, but I think we're gonna have to wait for Q1 2021 to really see the impact and how many people resubscribe for Disney Plus. The only saving grace that I see is kids and this pandemic where they're at home, is that where they're gonna be paying it. But I don't know. People have limited funds. People don't like paying for HBO, Disney Plus, Netflix, and then every other subscription service out there either. So Disney's getting hit hard, and the whole thing behind that is if they don't have the revenue to back it. You guys all know this. Is Disney in the last, I think over the summer months, they increased their stock price by 25-30% for some reason. They didn't make more money. They actually had a massive layoff of 28,000 people. Somehow their stock increased by 30%. I think it went from like $88, $90 up to like $130. How is that so? That's even more. That's actually 50%. That's almost 50% increase in price. How is that justified? If you're losing money as a company, you're losing money, you laid off 28,000, I think was the actual number, 28,000 employees, but your stock goes up 45-50%. Doesn't make sense, right? So we'll have to take a look at the numbers. All right. Oh, Dexter, so you did it. You got the, you did the whole Verizon thing too. Okay. I'm curious, are you guys gonna re-up it? Are you guys gonna resubscribe? You know, Nicholsall, is that your? I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Nicholsall. You asked good questions. Do you think Austin or Houston real estate is better for rental property? It depends on what type of rental property. Houston is obviously a much larger city that has a lot more international appeal to it. I'm not sure how that's impacting travel and everything right now. My gut instinct, and this is totally biased, is that I think it's Austin. And the reason why I think it's Austin is that Austin has more of that outdoorsy, charmy feel. And on top of that, you just had Tesla move in, and then you had Joe Rogan move into Austin. And that's bringing a flood of people. And so, gun to my head, I would have to say, oh shoot, sorry, I can't say that, the G word. The pew pew to my head. Sorry, YouTube, don't demonetize or don't give me a strike for saying the G word. Pew pew to my head. Nicholas, all right, Nicholas. I'd say Austin. Yeah, Austin. That's actually where I'm personally looking at land. I'm actually flying down there in about 2 weeks to look at properties and talk to my I have a business partner or a good friend, potential business partner down there, and we're gonna go out looking at land. And I'm looking at Austin. I'm not looking at Houston. But that's honestly, from my standpoint, I don't know Houston very well, and I'd like to stay away from a big major city like that. And I want to do more of what I was just talking about, more of the unique, weird type of dwellings to attract outdoorsy folks who want to glamp, because it's an easier entry, or it's a lower barrier of entry. I'm talking about $5,000, $10,000 versus if I did it in Houston. I don't think there's a huge outdoor scene there. I could be wrong. So Austin would be my vote. All right. So yeah, Dexter, it sounds like you're not re-upping. I'm never gonna pay for Disney Plus. Honestly, I'll wait for some other way if I wanted to watch Mandalorian. But dude, if you like Star Wars, or even if you have Disney Plus, Dexter, watch The Mandalorian. It's well worth it. It's really good. It's really, really good. It puts the other ones to shame, the other Star Wars. All right. Any questions about unique dwellings, rentals, Disney Plus, or even Disney as a company? Anybody out there, if you guys are interested, write down in the comment section. Even past this live stream, you guys can go and just send me a comment or send me a DM and I'll answer it. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick. So I want to share with you guys today my YouTube. 15,000. I'll keep doing this at every mile marker, every 10,000 subscribers. I'll share with you guys my revenue. As you guys know, I try to be as transparent as possible with you guys. Some things are more sensitive, like I don't want to be giving out my home address or anything like that, or like specific numbers like that. But when it comes to my rentals, how much I make, and especially YouTube, because you guys are going on this journey with me, I want to share that with you because I want to show you guys this whole process. And from the very beginning, when I was making $0, I told you guys I wanted you to take you guys on this journey to show you guys both, one, how difficult and challenging it can be, but also how rewarding it can be. And by no means am I successful at this. I still feel like I'm still like a white belt. Like in the terms of like jiu-jitsu, I'm like maybe a 2-3 strike white belt when it comes to YouTube. But I'm getting proficient at some things, and it's starting to pay off. And so I want you guys to realize, even if you don't want to be a YouTuber, is if you want to get into rentals, you want to go learn how to do programming, you want to go back to school, you get picked up a new job, is that in the beginning it sucks. It sucks because you're new at it. And everything when you're new at it, it bites because you're not good at it, right? And it doesn't pay off yet. But now at 15,000 subscribers after 2 years, let's take a look at how much I'm making, and I'm going to share my screen here with you. Let me move this over here, and then let me switch this and transition. Boom. Okay, so you guys can see this. Let me close my music here. Okay, so for any of you guys that are interested in doing YouTube in the future, or you guys want to try it, I say try it. I came into this, as you guys know, I'm a freaking business guy and building dude. I am not a creative type. I don't know the first things about audio, cameras, lenses. I literally knew zero. I still don't know that much. It takes time to learn. So if you guys are interested, I say give it a shot. You just have to commit yourself to learning. And so this is the main page here. And then if we go over to analytics right here, this allows you, it's really cool as a guy that loves data, they give you so much data. So you can see the subscribers right here, and you can see the number of views. This took a huge hit in the last 48 hours. I don't know why it dropped so much, but I'm usually hovering around 3,000 views a day, or every 48 hours, sorry. So subscribers have been growing, and I'm not quite sure. I think I'm reaching more of my audience through the videos I've been releasing more, and that's why I'm shifting more into more of unique rental income and building, is because I've been releasing more of those type of videos. I think that's why I'm getting more subscribers. But let me do this, because this is just 4 weeks. I like to do full months. So let's do, or 30 days, or 31 days. Let's do 30 days. Whoops. Apply. All right, so you guys can see that the revenue that I'm making each month is, just off YouTube ad revenues, is $670 for this last month. And then if we do this out, by zoom out, and I can show you guys the last 90 days, you can see that it's been growing pretty steadily here, right? So right now I'm averaging about, I'll say about maybe $23, $25 a day, which isn't that bad. Now, I know to a lot of people that doesn't seem like a lot, but you guys gotta remember when I first started this off, I started making money back in March or April of 2019, I was making like 30 cents a day. And then I made I remember making $1 a day was a big deal. I was like, $1 a day, 30 bucks a month, yeah, it pays for my Netflix. But now it's really cool to see that I'm making, say 25 bucks a day. And the cool thing, if you guys watch my videos, you guys know that my living expenses here at this whole house, the taxes, the maintenance, and all the utilities, and the property itself is about $720 a month. And so now it's really cool that after, let's say, a year and a half of work, it's more than that, say 2 years of work, I've now created another revenue stream. It's not buying me like gold watches or cars or anything, and that's not my type anyways, but it's paying for my living expenses, right? Because I make about $650 to $700 a month off YouTube ad revenues. And then I've got a lot of you guys who've been super supportive who can buy the spreadsheet, and then I have Amazon affiliates, and then I have a couple of other ways of making money through YouTube that bumps me over like maybe the $800 a month mark. Again, not a ton of money for a lot of us out there when we're first starting off. $800 is a lot of money. Let's not get it twisted. Whether you're a millionaire or you're just starting off and you have a bunch of debt, $800 can be a significant amount of money. And for me, it is because it covers my living expenses. Now that doesn't include my insurance, my cell phone, car, or anything like that. It's just my house. So my house, YouTube is paying for, which I'm very, very happy for. So just to give you guys a look here, well, we actually go back to lifetime. So the thing that throws it off is I had this big hitter here back in this spring when I was talking about, I decided to write or do a couple of videos on stimulus, and I like made like $140 in a day. How crazy is that? That's like, the crazy thing, the really crazy thing is that doesn't even bump. That's not even on the Richter scale. Like the big YouTubers, they would be upset if they made $140 a day. And for me, that was my big spike. But you can see over here when I first started, it was just tiny, tiny, tiny. Look at this. We were like in the cents, you know? Where is it? 0, 0, 0, 0. Yeah. And then it got into like 68 cents, and then it started getting the $1, $2. It was so inconsistent. And then now you can see like it just slowly grew over time and over time. It got a 10, got into the 15s, big spike, and then now I'm in the 25s. So the reason why I want to show you that is, one, is I want to be transparent and share you guys. You guys helped me get to 15,000 subscribers, and you guys helped me with this revenue. I appreciate that. And it helps us out a lot when you guys don't skip over, put up ad blockers, okay? Each one of my videos takes me about 6 to 8 hours. It's nice to be able to make $3 every month off of the YouTube videos, and those advertisements help. So I know it can be annoying, though. I feel ya. But the real message here is don't give. I don't want to turn this into a stupid motivational speech, but really, it's don't give up when you're starting something new. And I want you guys to use this, and hopefully one day, if I'm making like 30,000 a month, I'm going to share that with you guys too. Is that going from making 10 cents a day, or actually starting from zero, making no money for a whole year, going to 10 cents a day to $1 a day to $2 a day. Now I'm at $25 a day. Hopefully this time next year, I'll be making $250 a day just off of YouTube alone. And then who knows? It could probably, potentially, you're looking at the other big YouTubers, it could far surpass anything else that I make on a monthly basis, right? Cash flow wise. So I'm using this platform as both a way to educate folks on financials and real estate, but also see like the potential of when you grow something new from scratch. And this has not been an easy journey. This is not my forte. It's not a skill set. It's not real estate. It's not building. I don't know this. And even somebody, a dumb like me, when it comes to video editing and thumbnails and photography, I can make a decent monthly revenue stream. So that's that. If you guys have questions, let me know. Hey, Organic's best urban gardener. Glad that you were able to make it. What's your name? So I don't have to call out your full username. By the way, I love urban gardeners. Inside my city, there's a lot of folks that there's a strip on the sidewalk that's like city use only, but there's a bunch of urban gardeners who plant stuff there, and they use it to help feed. Like they encourage kids or people who can't afford food to come by and just pick it and eat whatever it is. Like it's really, really cool. Martine, welcome to the channel. Thanks for jumping in. Super cool. All right, so that's my revenue, everybody. Do you guys have any questions about this? Do you guys want to see any other numbers? Let me try to think if anything is super. I can show you guys the comments. When you guys write me a comment, I don't see it all the time. Sometimes I go in here and like, you guys, there's literally hundreds, maybe thousands of comments. And sometimes I don't see it, so I apologize. Sometimes if you leave multiple comments, you guys ask me questions, I'll do my best to always respond. But sometimes I just can't because I have so many other things I have to do. So this is like my to-do list to go through and try to answer all this. So these are my comments right here. Analytics, like I said. I'll show you guys my views real quick. Just it's something interesting. Gosh, this one time really throws everything off. Last 90 days, you can see it's slowly growing. It's going up. You can see that over the summertime, I didn't do anything because I was doing that big build project. So, anyways, that's it. If you guys have questions, I'll be more than happy to share any of this information with you guys. But yeah, that's it. Okay, let's get into. Let me close this off here. Are we ready to jump into Intel. Now, let me preface this. I am by no means telling you to buy Intel. And I'm gonna be full transparency, I own Intel. I got double check, I think I own like 70 or 80 shares of Intel. And that's me slowly buying into it, and I'm not really buying that much stocks these days, you guys, because you guys know me, I'm more of a real estate builder guy. I invest my money into things that I can have full control over. I don't have full control over stocks. With that said, I don't like stocks right now because you guys know my standpoint on this. Everything's just so super stupidly overvalued. The market's going crazy, even though we're in we're in a worse recession than the Great Recession of 2008. Yet somehow our stock market is performing higher than it has before, with no justification. Companies are laying people off. They are losing money. They have negative earnings, and somehow their stocks just keep going up. Weird stuff. So I'm not investing. However, every once in a while, I'll find a diamond in the rough, and I think Intel is it. This is not me telling you to buy it because I could be completely wrong. I could have missed something big, but I want to take you through. I understand a lot of you guys are learning out there. I want to take you through the process of how somebody with a background like mine, how we look at companies to value it and see if we can make a right decision on it. And you guys got to remember, in the stock market, it's very close to gambling. Now, it has more information than gambling. It's not true gambling, but in the stock market, if I'm right 65% of the time, 60% of the time, I make a lot of money. Okay, and it's kind of like gambling. How casinos they only have a 1 to 2% edge over you, but over the long run, they end up winning millions and billions of dollars because you don't, or I don't play cards right, or I don't know how to play correctly. But we play perfectly. We only have a 48 or 49% chance of winning in the long run. It's the same thing with the stock market. If you know what you're doing and you can invest correctly, and you're right 60% of the time, you're right 70, maybe 80% of the time, you make a ton of money in the long run. But the thing is that you will and can lose that 20, 30, or 40% of the time. And what we're doing today is, what can we do to get us the absolute edge over the market? That's all it is. And what I see a lot of people doing right now is they're like at the roulette table and they're just throwing money down on stocks. And I'm just like, dude, you're paying so much money for a really crappy company. Okay, so let's look at Intel. I have not rehearsed this at all. So if I look confused or anything, or I'm struggling, it's because it's the first time diving into all this. So what we're gonna do first, again, I'm gonna use a spreadsheet that you guys can buy, link down below, is I'm gonna use that to value the company. I'm gonna fly through it this time. If you guys have questions, throw it in the comments section, okay? And then I'll answer your questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna fly through that, and then what we're gonna really do is we're gonna dive into, I'm gonna show you how I actually research a company, like the background of the company. So if you guys wanna stick around for that, you guys can. You'll probably just see me do a lot of reading. And you guys can read it too. I'll keep it up on the screen. Okay, let's do this. All right, so I'm gonna open up, first of all, I know you guys can't see this, but go to Morningstar if you guys wanna follow along. And I'll pull this over here. I'll move my notes. And I'm gonna put in Intel, which is INTC. And you guys can see, I'll just show you this real quick. If you guys don't have it up, is that in the last, you guys see this huge drop off? They were up here and they dropped off right here. And a lot of that has to do with AMD and NVIDIA, two companies that are crazy overvalued, especially NVIDIA. Is that they're using, it's a weird, let me see if I can describe this correctly. They had some good news come out during this pandemic, and they were already overvalued. They're part of the tech company stocks that are all getting completely skyrocketed, right? So what ends up happening is, you guys gotta realize, when a company's stock increases in price, the value of the company increases in price. It's kind of like your house. So if let's say, Martine, you have a house that's worth $300,000, okay? And you still owe like $250 on it. Let's say for some reason something happens in your city and all of a sudden your house is worth $1 million. You have a crap ton of money sitting inside that house now, right? You owe $250,000, but it's worth $1 million. Then you get somebody like me, is like, hey, this might be short-lived. I would take that money, go to the bank, pull out a HELOC or leverage it, take out another mortgage, take that extra money, reinvest it into another piece of property or into a piece of land, or reinvest it into something else that you're good at, that you know how to do. So you're okay. So you pull out some of that money out of that $1 million to go and reinvest it. That's what these companies did. So NVIDIA and AMD, which are competitors to Intel, I'll explain why they aren't in a bit here, is that their stocks went through the roof. So they were worth X billions of dollars. Let's say this is an actual number. So let's say they were worth $2 billion. Because of the whole craziness of the stock market, they are now worth like $4 billion. They take that extra money and they go out and they buy other companies to make their company stronger or bigger. Okay, so that's why so much hype is like, oh no, AMD and NVIDIA is going to take over Intel. Now at the same time as all this, I'll give you guys some insider knowledge here in a second too, is that Intel missed its deadlines because something was happening where they couldn't keep up, or their latest chip wasn't going to be coming out on time. That hurt them. So all this good news that is, I don't think it's rightfully so because they're already so overvalued, it pumped up NVIDIA and AMD. Intel released it's not critical news. I mean, like, yeah, they're gonna miss deadlines for the next chip, but it's not like the company's folding. It's not like they're laying off a ton of people. They're not making money. Intel is still a staple in most, if not all, PCs in the business or commercial market. And I know a lot of retailers or custom computing, they're going over to AMD, but Intel is still King Kong. Anyways, now the thing is, insider baseball here. A couple of my rentals actually are near Intel campuses. Okay, I have been hosting in some of the properties that we manage, or properties that that we own, is that we've been hosting people, contractors who work at Intel, and they are building out something huge. Okay, they're building machines. They're basically building out their campuses to basically create the next generation of chips. And so these contractors are flying in from all over the world, or not all over the world, all over the country to build out these sites. So I think a lot of the delays are coming because of the pandemic, stopping people from actually being able to build out the factories and the machinery that they need to be built out. I know this firsthand because I've spoken to these contractors and they're like, hey, we're on hold, we can't work. Hey, we are stopping work because of X, Y, Z. And the pandemic says, like, we're not working right now. But the thing is that they're still they're still a business. The fundamentals are still there. Does that make sense, you guys? And so they're getting beat up in the stock market for no real fair reason, is my understanding. But let's dig deeper into this and let's do this. Okay, less talking from me, more running numbers. Okay, so that's that. First things first, let's jump into the financials here. I do this all first because the other spreadsheet that I have is really big and it has a lot of macros and formulas and such, and it just takes a long time to run if I try to do this all at one time. So what I'm doing right now is I am just, where'd it go? There it is. I'm just downloading the income statement, the balance sheet, and I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible. And if you guys have questions, just let me know. Okay. So these are the three financial statements for a company: the income, balance sheet, and then the statement of cash flows. And it just looks like this. This is how it's downloaded. And what I'm going to do now, as you guys know, is I'm going to go in here, and these I got to convert to numbers, because right now this is a spreadsheet, obviously from the site. They are formulas, or they're trying to pull numbers, and so we want to convert it back into numbers because we're going to copy and paste it. So I'll move this over. The balance sheet here, do the same thing. Convert to numbers. this over. And then statement of cash flows. Do you guys understand the difference between the three financial statements when I'm doing this? Tell me in the comment section if you guys do understand. If you guys don't, I want to be able to explain it to you guys so you guys know. Okay, once I'm done with that, what I'm going to do is I am then going to open up a new template here. Hang on one second. Where did I put it? All right. Make sure when you open it, you always enable macros, and it looks like, whoops, did I grab the wrong one? Stand by, hang on. I gotta get rid of this here. Here. Okay. All right, so first things first, this is the fresh template. See, it's already slowing down. All right, I gotta save this real quick. I'm gonna save this as INTC, and I like to put the date so I know when I did. So it's Intel 10/31. Happy Halloween, by the way. Okay. Nice and easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and do my assumptions first. I always like to do this. So discount rate, well, I always forget to do this. I need to be better at it. Intel, so I know the company. Discount rate. So the base, the risk-free rate right now is 0.5. That's a 10-year treasury bond. Intel is a very stable company. They're not a growth company. They're also not a dwindling company. I would give them a discount rate of like maybe 3.5%. All right, we can always go back and adjust that. EBITDA wise, how many years, past or projections, can they continue doing what they're doing? I think they're pretty well entrenched. They've got big contracts. I'm gonna give them typically around here. This is 8 times as an average. I'm gonna give them like an 11 times. Okay. Let's go over to report. Remember, the green areas are the only areas where you need to input data. So we need to input data here. Move over here. Go back to quotes. Or quote. They're currently trading at $44.28. The number of outstanding shares they have. Click on short interest. Remember, this is always in billions. I've got a couple questions about this when your numbers aren't coming out. You have to convert this into billions, okay? Otherwise, it's going to throw a wrong number for you. This is the most important thing. So they have it right here in millions, but in billions, it's 4 point, okay? It's not 4,000, 4.098. It's the biggest reason why your numbers will be off. All right, current PE ratio, let's go over to financials. Look at this, 8.7. Now, I don't really like using PE ratios a lot. It's a quick, really fast way to gauge what the market is thinking of the company. Right now, when you look at Tesla, Chipotle, Nvidia, AMD, what are some of the other ones that are going crazy right now? Netflix, Facebook, not Facebook, I ignore Facebook, Amazon. They're trading, Intel's trading at 8.7. Market average in normal times is usually 15 to 20. If you're an awesome company, 30, maybe 40x, maybe if you're like the extreme best, the best, maybe 50, 60x, maybe. That's like the top 1% of the 1%. These other companies, they're trading in the hundreds, literally in the hundreds, 150, 170. Tesla's trading at 1,000x. Okay, this is not sustainable. And so what that tells you right off the bat is that the market is basically saying they have nearly a 0% risk rate. Not true. Okay, Intel. So for every dollar that Tesla makes, the market is willing to pay $1,000 for it. For every dollar that Intel makes, they're willing to pay $8.70. Does that make sense? All right. let's take a look at their cash. They have, remember, we always want to look over here, their latest statement. Okay, so it's Q3. So this tells you Q3 2020, which is very recent. It's they probably just released this a couple days or a couple weeks ago. They have more cash than they had in 2019. Obviously, they have $5 billion more. The first thing that you always got to look at, you're like, oh, cool, more cash. Well, where they get it from? And right away, I can see they got it from debt, because their debt's at 36.56 from 29 billion. So what a lot of companies are doing right now, the reason why they're doing that is during the pandemic, they want to be more liquid. Okay, so they want to have more cash available just in case stuff happens. So we're going to put that in here. They have 18.25 billion in cash, and they have 36.56 in debt. All right, so we got that taken care of, and now all we're going to do next is we have to put in the growth here, but I'm going to use their historicals to forecast the growth. Okay. Now, the growth is probably the most important thing, because that dictates really how much the stock will be valued, and it's a lot of times that's what the market is doing. I don't agree with the market most of the time. Right now, I completely disagree with them. But one thing that we always look at that we're in agreement with is that what is the growth of this company is the most important factor. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the income statement, and all I'm doing here, you guys and gals, is I am going to go, where I put my income statement. There it is. I'm going to go in here, up here, copy, go back over here, paste it in. Go to my balance sheet, copy, come on, paste it in. Go to my statement of cash flows, copy. Come on, come on. Move this out of the way, move this out of the way, and paste it in. Now, I haven't done this yet, so we will see if there are any errors that pops up in the report. But basically, once that's in, it should run it. Look at that, no errors. Good deal. So the reason why there's sometimes there are errors, if you're so new to this, is because all companies are different. They name things differently. They label things differently. And I can only have so many different labelings in this spreadsheet because there are thousands of different companies and thousands of different accountants, and they all do things differently. So I set this up for the most general way. It's called GAAP accounting, generally accepted principles, or general accepted accounting principles is how I have it set up. So sometimes we have to go in there and tweak it a little bit and kind of dig into their financials because, like I said, companies will label things weird. Now, I'm not going to do it right now. Maybe I should. I will do it right now. Is you want to go back and double check and make sure that it's pulling the right numbers just to make sure it's not pulling a weird line. So I'll do that real quick here. So I want to check and make sure that their debt looks spot on. So they have short-term, long-term. I know that because we were just looking at that. Okay. So I'll look at revenues right here. I'm going to assume that it's spot on. I just go over the income statement. Total revenues is 55.3 billion to 70, let's say 72 billion. Yep, 72 billion, 55.3 billion right there. Let's look at their SG&A. SG&A is also on the income statement. So SG&A is right here. Wait, 20.5. Sales generated. Okay, I want to add those two. So it's about 20.3 billion. That's only 20.06. Why is that? $20.06 cost of revenue. That's cost of revenue right there. Why is SG&A only 20.06? Oh, I gotcha. So this number right here is usually the number that we'd be looking at for SG&A, but it includes depreciation. We don't need that right now. It's just adding selling, general, administrative. That's usually SG&A. But we also want to include research and development. Obviously, companies that are tech like Intel, R&D is huge, and that would be under SG&A. So what the formula just did, it was just added those two. So that's awesome. That's exactly what we want. Depreciation is down here, and depreciation we actually look at over on the statement of cash flows, which is right here at 8.7. So this thing is pulling everything perfectly. Okay, so from there, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go down and we're gonna look at their growth rate over the last 5 years, or actually 4 years, because we don't have 2014 numbers. So all this is right here, can you guys see this? Yeah. It's comparing from 2016 to 2015 how much it grew by. And then 2017, 2016, and then so on and so forth. So you can see it was growing. It's actually growing pretty well for a big company like that. But then it dipped off big time in 2019. We would have to dig deeper to see why it was such a big dip off. But we can assume that they're going to have a lower amount in 2020. I know they lost some pretty big contract. Oh, 2019. They lost the Apple contract. Apple weren't using their processors anymore. I remember that. So what we're going to do is we're going to forecast out the next couple years. And so 2020, I'm going to say they're not going to do well. I'm going to say like they're going to have like a negative, let's say a negative. This is all arbitrary. So let's say that they have a negative 5%. And then let's say that they go back to normal and they grow at like 3% the year after. And then they go back and they start growing at 5. And then they come back 7 and 7. Okay. So let's just do that. And then what I'm going to do next is, do you guys see these numbers right here? The COGS, SG&A, those are the big ones. Depreciate, the Capex is a big one. Is I want to see if these are accurate. And these are just the median of what they have been doing for the last 5 years. So I'm looking at right here. You see right here, 2019, it skyrocketed. It doesn't look like a lot, 41.44% versus 38. You're like, oh, it's only 3%. You guys got to remember 1 percentage point when you're 1 percentage point when you are a company that's valued in the billions, several billions. Percentage points are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. So even though these two look very close, let's see what the difference is. They look very close, but I mean, granted, their revenues came off. But I assume it's a couple $100 million difference. So you're like, what's going on? How come you are less efficient? You made less money, and you're less efficient. My guess is that they lost their Apple contract, but they still had they had everything scaled up. They had all the factories, they had all the machinery, they had all the employees, they had all the materials already geared up to meet those contracts, and then they lost those contracts is my initial guess. SG&A is looking fine. SG&A actually looks great. You guys see how it's slowly going down every year? That means that they are doing very, very well managing their home expenses. So R&D, salaries, employees, rent, leases, that type of stuff. That's usually what's tied up here in SG&A. You can see every single year it's been slowly decreasing. That's good to see. And I think this COGS is just a blip on the screen. Let's look at Capex. So Capex is usually, this makes sense, I can describe this to you right here. Capex is capital expenses, so buying machinery, plant, property, or equipment. And you guys can see how it kind of floats around 13, 16%, 18%, and all of a sudden it jumps up to 21.5%, 23.5% of revenue. And so the reason behind that is because they're building all those new campuses, or they're upgrading their campuses. It's a lot of money. Each one of those machines costs anywhere between $20 to $150 million for those machines to build the semiconductors. So those all look good. Let's see what my report is spitting them out. So they're assuming SG&A at 32.5%. I don't like that because they have been so efficient. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to say that they're going to average negative 28%. There you go. And then COGS, let's see what COGS is. COGS is cost of goods sold. I'm okay with 38. I think they'll go back to 2018 levels. And even at that's right in between what they were doing the last 4 years. I think 2019 was just a bad year. Capex, let's see what Capex is at, because I know that they're still spending a bunch of money. I think they're still in the middle of building, so I think the first couple years, I think they're going to still be at negative 20%, negative 20, and then I think it'll go back down to like 18. So we'll go 18 here. All right. So with all of that done, what we're going to do next is we want to see, again, we're doing a deeper dive today, guys. So I want to see that they can actually fulfill, whoops, where did my thing go? I want to make sure that they can service their loans. So right here, we're looking at unlevered free cash flows right here. This is how much actual cash is going in and out of the business. Not taking into account paying for loans or anything yet. So they have, like in 2015, they had 3.4 billion. They had 1 year where they lost some money, but they should be able to still service their loans. This was a bad year. You guys see this right here? 2017, they had to pay $8 billion back in loans. But every other year, they could pay it back pretty easily. And that's what this number here is right here, is that it's showing what they were able to pay back. So all except 1 year, they were cash flow positive after servicing their loans. And they have, what was it? They had 18 billion. They have 18 billion in cash and have doubled the debt. But their cash flows are looking okay. And the reason why their cash flows are good is because they actually do a very good job of managing their COGS and the SG&A. Those are the two biggest heavy eaters, and then also Capex of free cash flows. But I think they're going to do just fine. I'm just double checking my assumptions here. So they should have 5.24, about 5 billion in free cash flows, and then they'll probably pay back between 2.5 to maybe 3 billion in debt, but they'll still have this money. That debt they just pulled out probably isn't due for another 5 years anyways. But the important thing is that they're cash flow positive, which is good. All right, so let's take a look at how this works out. So their current price is $44.28. My assumed value is let's say 68 cents, or 68 cents, $68 per share. And so let's play around with this a little bit just to see. So that's my initial gut reaction. Let's give them a little bit of a heavier discount rate, and then let's reduce their EBITDA to 10, their EBITDA multiple to 10. So at that, you're now at 58. I'm just curious what we'd have to bring this to make on par with where they're at right now. There you go. Okay. So to be on par with where the market is basically saying that they're giving them an 8 times EBITDA multiple, right? Which is market average, and then a 5.5 discount rate, which is pretty high considering the current environment. I'm going to stick to my 3.5%, and I'll stick with an 11 times EBITDA multiple. They're a pretty established company. They're not going to go anywhere. Let's take a look at their graphs here real fast. I just saw something here. I'll pull it out, or I'll show it to you guys here in a second. I like how the revenues continue to grow, EBITDAs continue to grow, cost of goods continues to see. This is the thing that I really like. You guys see this? I know it doesn't. If you guys are new to this, it looks kind of weird, but SG&A, as it goes up, it means that the cost of SG&A is reducing. They're doing a really good job of managing their overhead because their revenues are going up, but their SG&A is going down. I like that. Capex is going up, which means that they are reinvesting a lot of their cash back into the business to grow it, which is both a good and a bad thing. You can do, if you overextend yourself and buy too much plant, property, equipment, it can really suck for you. But Intel has a good reputation when it comes to that stuff, so I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing. And I think they forecasted it because their SG&A has been going down while their Capex goes up. So if it was reversed and SG&A kept going up and Capex kept going up, they would run out of cash, but they didn't do that. Short-term, long-term debt seems pretty dang steady. We do know that there's a little bit of spike here in 2020 that's not shown here yet. but I think they should be okay. Now, this is the thing I want to show you. See this graph right here? It shows cash is in blue, properties in green, and then debts in purple. Now, the important thing behind a company is you want to see what do they have to offer you as an investor when you buy their stock or you buy a share of their stock. And the great thing about Intel here is even though, well, let me back up. With most companies, you want to make sure that they can pay for their debt. And once you run out of cash and you can't service your debt, that's when companies will go bankrupt. Think about Hertz rental car, right? Intel has a lot to back up because it has a bunch of property, okay? So in a really bad case scenario where they can't service their debt, do you see how much extra or how much property they have? They could always, it's not easy, liquidate some of their property to pay off their debt if they had to. A bad company has no debt and no property, okay? So I like seeing this. I would like to see more cash than they currently do, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. All right, let's just double check this real quick. Let me go over here. You guys know me. I like to use Simply Wall Street here. Let's see if I can look this up. Let me pull this over so you can see it. So I'm thinking around the $65 to $70 range is what the fair valuation is. This has 39 analysts looking at it. Okay, look at that. So we have other analysts looking at the value at around $77 a share. So these other analysts are probably doing something similar. There are a bunch of different methodologies of studying and valuing the stock. But right now, these other analysts are saying the fair value is right around $77 a share. I'm at a little bit $10 less than them. Again, this is not an exact precision, so 65 to 70 was where I'm at. Let me see. I bet you they gave it like a 12, and then probably gave it like 3%. Yeah. So they're assuming their assumptions were probably right around mine. They assumed 3% discount rate and then a 12x EBITDA multiple, maybe even less than this, 2.5. There we go. They probably gave it a little bit less of a discount rate. They either played with it here, or they assumed a little bit of a growth strategy over here, which is totally fair. Okay. They probably know something that I don't know, but I'm gonna keep that 3.5 and I'll keep this at 11. So I'm gonna keep mine at 67. So long story short is that you can currently buy Intel at $44. Based on what I'm looking at it, I'm valuing it. The company as a whole is valued around $65 to $70 a share. So I'm buying it at a discount rate of roughly, what is that, 50%? No, that's not right. No, I think that is right. $23. Yeah, so you're getting a 50% discount. No, that's not right at all because that's $20. It's a third. It's about 30% discount. There it is right here, 34.5%. Sorry, this is different. So 34.5% discount for purchasing this stock. And that looks pretty good. So don't take this as gospel. Don't go out there and start buying a bunch of Intel stock. I'm not saying that at all. Do your due diligence, and I'm going to show you how I do more due diligence. So pure numbers wise, this looks like a good buy. If I hold on to this, I buy this, I hold on to it for the next 5, 6, 7 years. I'm expecting it to increase in value to back to the $70 mark. And then for every $10,000 I invest into it, I'll make probably back, based on this, about $3,000 to $5,000 back. Okay? So let's see how we really dig into this. So we do Intel Investor Relations. So all I'm going to do is type in Intel. You can do this with any company. And we will get to this page where every publicly traded company has to have their information easily accessible to the public. So what we're looking at here is we're going to be digging into their earnings. And so I can listen to it. Sometimes if it's something like a company I'm going to be investing several thousands of dollars into, tens of thousands of dollars, I will just download the earnings call and I'll just listen to it. The earnings call is all it is usually their CFO, COO, CEO, or president sharing what happened in that quarter or what their plans are for that year, or they'll give you guidance. And whenever you read guidance, guidance is basically what they expect is going to happen for the next quarter or for the next year. Okay, so we don't have that time. I don't want to listen to that right now, but let's look at their earnings release, and then we'll jump into their 10Q official report. Maybe we'll look at their earnings presentation too. Actually, I want to look at that first. So this is a Q3 earnings presentation. So this is what they use to present. Like, think about just like, you know how like back in college or high school you had to do presentations? The reason why you do that is because these stupid companies have to do the same thing. Like, I hate PowerPoint presentations, but they're still doing it. So this is the executive summary. This is what I usually look at to see what they're highlighting, right? And then I'll dig deeper into it a little bit later, because sometimes you guys got to remember, they will always be incentivized to bring out the best. The great companies, and I rarely see this, is they'll highlight some of the bad stuff that's happened or the mistakes that they made. But so right here, we see they beat quarterly revenue and EPS expectations. That's not too hard because everybody was really beating up the market or Intel on what they would be able to do. Shipping the world's best thin and light notebook CPU with super thin technology. Untitled at the end. Okay. 2 times April expectations. So they are saying that they're ahead of schedule on that. The world's best thin and light notebook CPU. So one thing that you guys probably know is that like iPads, MacBooks, CPU, they keep wanting to be thinner and thinner and thinner, right? And lighter and lighter and lighter. But they want to make it more powerful. That's really difficult to do because the bigger the CPU is, the more cooling it requires because the more heat it generates. And heat is the killer of the CPU, and it slows down the performance and can actually kill the CPU itself. So what they're doing is that they're saying that they've created they've been focusing a lot on building more efficient, less less heat producing CPUs. And so they have this new, obviously it's patented, probably super thin technology that is fast and can be used in CPUs and iPads. But we know that Apple's not using it anymore. So a lot of times what can happen is even though Apple doesn't buy, or it doesn't have to be Apple, it can be any company, even though they don't buy the CPU, they can license the technology. So maybe there's something there. Announced sale of NAND business. So I know that was a big thing. That's why their stocks dropped and then went up, then dropped again. Is that they sold NAND business. I don't know what NAND is. I forget what that was. It was a small part of the business, but they sold it for $9 billion. Initiated $10 billion accelerated share repurchase. Oh, so they sold a piece of their business and then they purchased back $10 billion of their own shares. That's interesting. I want to jump over to the balance sheet real quick. I want to see if they've been buying back shares a lot. So I've told you guys this before. When the companies buy back shares, it's one of two things. It's one, they're trying to manipulate the stock price, or they're like, hey, we have a lot of extra cash here. We're going to buy back some of the shares to kind of like, they don't want their company so diluted. And so over the last couple years, they have been consistently buying back shares. Okay, so they bought back $10 billion more shares, which is roughly, let's do some really fast math here real quick, okay? So if it's $10 billion, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by 44, let's just say $44. They bought back roughly, how many is that? 230 million shares. Wow, so they're down to 4. Ooh, okay. Let's take a look at this real quick, you guys. This is super interesting. For you guys who are watching this is going to be interesting because they're currently, I typed in that they had, oh, maybe it already includes it, 4.1. Is that right? Balance sheet. Let me look at this balance sheet. 2019, they had 4.29. If they went down, guys. Okay, so let's do some really fast math. I'm doing some fast math here because I think there might be some value here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by $44 a share. Shoot, I did that wrong. 10 billion. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by $44 a share is 227 million shares are going to buy back. They currently have 4.1. I think they already did it then, right? Yeah, they already did it. Never mind, guys. I got excited for no reason. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I thought that we were going to be able to get a cheaper stock, but they already went from 4.3 billion, and they have less than 4.1 billion. So they probably already repurchased it, right? That's 2 billion or 200 million. Yeah. So they already repurchased it. My bad, guys. Because I was thinking, like, if they did, we're going to reduce this down again. Like, look what happens if I reduce this down to, like, 3.9, less than that. It'd be, like, 3.85 billion shares. Boop. It bumps up because you're not as diluted. So I thought we were going to find a better deal. I was wrong, though. I think they already probably repurchased it. Okay, so initiated 10 billion accelerated share repurchase. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick. Thoughtfully deploying your capital. Now this is gonna get really boring, so anybody who's watching this, you guys are in it for the long haul, because I'm just reading basically their report to see what's going on with them. And you guys can follow along too, if you guys just want to type in Intel Investor Relations. And they paid the dividends. That's good. Increase financial highlights. Revenue down 4%. Okay. Year over year. Well, we forecasted 5% in our rundown. It's not bad. 2020 beginning total cash investment. So this is how they're using their cash. Cash from operations. They spent 10 billion in Capex, 4 billion in dividends. They bought back 4.2 billion total actually. Net debt, they had to pay off debt and other, okay. Sorry, I'm not talking, you guys. I'm just trying to absorb this. So I know that data center are a huge area. So you guys got to think about, like, data centers have like those giant servers, right? With those big rooms, those cooling rooms. And you just see like all the way down, you see a bunch of like a warehouse full of servers. Those are data centers. Google has them, Apple has them, Amazon has them, and most of them will have Intel in them. So that's a large portion of their business. Revenue down on COVID-driven impacts to enterprise and government. Makes sense. Government's probably a large piece of their pie, and with the shutdown and everything, everybody ceased buying, ceased upgrading. Okay. And what I'm looking for right here, you guys, is like something significant where something's truly hurting their business. Like they have to sell off a portion of their business, or they are like removing themselves from like, are they removing themselves from a portion of their revenue streams because of something bad happens? But I don't see anything yet. They're still in the data they're still in the data business. Notebook, desktop. So that's weird. Desktops. People don't have desktops much, so we will see a drop in revenue on desktops. Outlook. Oh, look at that. So we said negative 5,000. They're expecting up 5%. Down, up. Let's see. They actually, I said down 5%. Let's say that they're actually right. Yeah, that'll do. That's even more of a reason to buy them then. If they can really hit that 5%. Growing revenue and volatility. Revenue is up 1.8 billion versus January. Guide. COVID-driven mechanics for PC. Headwinds to desktop. Okay. Accelerating 10. Increase in supply for users. Gross margins down 2 points versus January. Okay. Accelerated ramp. Disciplined spending and portfolio management. I can agree with that. I saw your guys' SG&A. Fiscal year spending, FY, I think that's fiscal year spending to revenue, 25%, down 2 points year over year. Fiscal year, am I not getting that right? Spending. So this is the common sizing of what they're talking about right here. This right here, they're saying the spending between like COGS and SG&A, I'm assuming that's what they're saying. Spending to revenue, 25% down 2 points year over year. That's a good thing. They're spending less money. Okay, sale of nailing business. Thoughtful capital allocation, 10 billion. Accelerated stock rebuy. I don't know what ASR is. Okay. 1.50 more free cash flows versus our January. So they're exceeding their expectations from January. That's not bad. That's good. Okay, so just take a look at this real quick. That's it. So you guys, overall, I just, there's nothing significant out here. It's weird that all other companies are just shooting through the roof. I don't see anything that is like completely out of the ordinary when it comes to Intel. Sometimes I just like to type in here, Intel news. So a lot of times what you can do is, there's a couple of good sites, like Seeking Alpha is good. Even Yahoo Finance. Let's just take a look. I just like to dig in to see what other journalists have found. Okay, so is it about to dethrone NVIDIA? AMD is not going to dethrone NVIDIA. So this is the thing that I was talking about earlier, that they purchased another company, $35 billion right there. This is just talking about AMD. Let's not even talk about Intel. Intel's getting squeezed. Intel has a long history of underperformance. AMD and NVIDIA's acquisition will add more pressure to the company. But Intel is cheap, has a few catalysts, and has a safe dividend. That's true. Intel has recently, so this analyst here is actually sharing a lot of my own. If you guys want to check this out, it's Seeking Alpha. Just type in Intel News and it should pop up. Intel is recently under intense pressures as companies like AMD and NVIDIA has accomplished more with less and taken a substantial market share. That's true because they focus on video. AMD obviously focus on CPUs as well. As shown below, in recent years, AMD's market share in CPUs has increased from 17.6. Wow, I did not know that, to 36.5%. Intel's share has dropped. Okay. Yep, Intel problems are well known. That company is about to lose Apple as a key supplier of chipsets in a blow likely worth 1.5. So they're losing a lot of market share. That's not a good thing, especially when you see AMD nipping at its tail like that. And then also now you have Apple. You're competing with Apple because Apple is releasing its own chips. See, this is another thing that you guys should really keep in mind is how effective we are with money, or how effective a company is with money. So they spent 13 billion in R&D versus AMD 1.4 billion, and then just under 3 billion for Nvidia. So they spent more than 4 times AMD and Nvidia's R&D, but they're producing less. That's not good. Okay. Financial. See, this is not good. Although it's still focused on innovation, the management has decided to focus more on financial engineering. What did it do? Still the right thing is sold. It's loss-making NAND business for $9 billion. Okay. Let's put more emphasis on share buybacks and dividends. Okay. Okay. So this is talking about the dividend side of Intel, which is, I always think dividends is a secondary thing. I'd almost rather a company reinvest that money back into the company than pay out in dividends. But if you're a dividend investor, a 2.85% dividend yield is really good, considering that what is it? Money market right now is at 0.5%, 0.6%. That's true. So I'm just reading this right here, you guys, where it's talking about even though Intel has lost market share, a significant amount of market share, they still command the large portion of it from, or they still command a very large bit of it, and their product actually has higher margins than its peers, which is very important. And then look at this. Third, I believe that Intel stock is relatively undervalued. The company has a trailing price earnings multiple of 9.9. Right now, it's actually 8.7. This is substantially lower than. Oh, here you go. This is substantially lower than the average S&P multiple of 30. Relative faster growth. Investing in undervalued stocks is not a sure way to beat the market. That's absolutely true. Investing in undervalued stock is not a sure way to beat the market at all. Oh, look, he used the same thing. Okay. However, Intel is not only undervalued, but it has the opportunity. Yeah, what is it? Internet of Things, 5G, and higher data center. compared to a discounted cash flow valuation of stock below, which implies a 20% upside from the current level. Dude, this is an awesome article. He used a lot of the. He obviously has a lot more information than I had. I didn't know about the market share. That was something that's very important that you should take a look into, especially when you start looking at other companies like AMD and NVIDIA, who are growing very quickly and are not younger, but smaller and can move a lot faster and can do a lot more with their money than Intel is. Because you have to think about Intel is huge. But I liked his analysis, the contrarian case for Intel. You guys should take a look at this link. And he kind of comes to the same conclusion. It's the numbers are a little bit dated because I think it's 8.7 right now. He says it's 10% earnings. Average S&P multiple of 30. Typically in normal circumstances, 15 to 20, or yeah, 15 to 20. But yeah, 30 is fine too for a more experienced company. Yeah. And then the fair market value, this is discounted cash flows of $77 versus its current, it's not 46, it's traded as low as $43 yesterday. So anyways, that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions about this? I mean, we can keep on digging in. We can dig into the 10 cube, digging deeper into the numbers of what they're releasing. Actually, let me just read this real quick. Total revenue of 18.3 was down 8. This is the same thing that we just read. I really like Seeking Alpha. You guys should favorite this or bookmark Seeking Alpha. It's a great place to kind of pull up data and information on publicly traded companies. All right, let me jump over here. I'm sorry, Martine, I didn't answer your question. I understand I have a successful YouTube channel. It gets hard to respond to everyone, so this is why I utilize community posts so everyone gets a notification. That's awesome. I'm going to have to check out your channel. Organic Best Urban Gardener. All right, everybody. I keep on hitting this lamp. That's all I got for you today. I got to go get some lunch. I'm starving. But to quickly recap, first of all, thank you so much for the 15,000 subscribers being there with me this whole time. I am going to be starting investing more into weird land. I am actually doing it right now. I'm building a container home right outside, out in the front here. And then we'll see. I'm going to go look at land this weekend. Hopefully I'll come back. I can share that with you. Take a look at the channel this upcoming, the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be releasing videos that are going to be a little different. I've got one video where I'm talking about why Graham Stephan is moving and how we can all learn from that. And actually, if you guys really want to make money, a lot of times it's not just cutting costs, trying to find a job that makes more money. Sometimes it's moving across county lines, state lines, maybe even moving out of the country. So I'm going to be releasing a video on Tuesday that talks more about that. Watch out for Disney. Disney could create a good opportunity. Right now, they're super overvalued. Their revenues are really low. The revenues have taken a hit, and they have recently laid off a lot of people. I don't think they're going to be coming back, but that's one stock I'm going to be staying away from. I want to see their Disney Plus numbers because that's where they're really banking on making a lot of money. But we know it's costing them a lot of money. I think this year they're not getting a lot of money from Disney Plus because they have a bunch of non-paying subscribers, and they've been creating content, so it's a loss generator for them. And then what did we do next? We looked at Intel. Intel is undervalued right now, but be careful. Even though they're undervalued, it's not always a for sure thing that they will beat the market, but the market is not valuing them the same as other tech companies because they are more gung-ho on AMD and NVIDIA. So other than that, everybody, I hope I will see you guys on the next weekly live stream. But thanks so much for joining me today. I love you guys all. Peace out.